Mikel Merino, an Arsenal player at last. Give us the details.
Finally confirmed this, another saga, I guess, but it's been agreed a few days ago. He has now been confirmed just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. We understand the fee around €37.5 million, including performance-related add-ons. It's a 4-year contract for the 28-year-old. Arsenal do have the option of extending that by a further year. He'll be in line to make his debut for Arsenal at home against Brighton this weekend. Also, in terms of outgoings, a couple of players. Fabio Vieira, he's arrived in Porto ahead of completing a season-long loan move. Ajax remain interested in Aaron Ramsdale. David Raya now is the first-choice keeper for Arsenal. Look at what he's done in the first 2 weekends of this season. So Ajax, Southampton are considering whether to go back in with another offer. So far, the reason why a lot of Premier League clubs have struggled to make this work, and for Ajax as well, Arsenal were looking for a permanent deal in this window. They're looking for worst case, a loan, ideally with an obligation to buy. But we understand the valuation that Arsenal have set in terms of what that buy price would be has put Premier League clubs off and Ajax so far. But it does look like Aaron Ramsdale wants first-team football. Whether or not it's in the Premier League or Ajax, they remain interested.
All right, let's stay with Arsenal outgoings. Eddie Nketiah, is he going out the door?
It's going to be an emotional time, I'll tell you, when we don't talk Eddie Nketiah anymore on our transfer shows. But it's getting ever so close, though, to a move to Crystal Palace. They've agreed a deal in principle with Arsenal Crystal Palace. Fee understood to be around 25 million. Initial payment with 5 million performance-related add-ons. That's still being discussed right now, but he has been given permission to undertake his Crystal Palace medical. Forest were keen, but that didn't materialise. Now the key is Nketiah, probably a bit like we've said over the last few weeks on Emil Smith Rowe, probably time for a fresh start, a move. Arsenal pretty firm. They wanted around £30 million. So this is getting ever so closer. Hopefully we'll hear from Oliver Glasner tonight as Crystal Palace take on Norwich in the League Cup, because plenty of transfer lines for managers to get into in post-match interviews tonight.
Aren't there just? I want to stay with this Nketiah, though, because at the weekend we all saw Arteta say, I need a forward, but he's selling one. So aren't they going to be short?
Well, a bit of context with Eddie Nketiah. As promising a player as he is and as important as he has been for Arsenal over the years, he's not started a Premier League game in 2024. So by that token, they don't necessarily need to bring a replacement for somebody simply to not get many minutes. But then at the same time, Gabriel Jesus is injured at the moment. The initial prognosis is that he's not going to be out for long. I think what helps Arsenal here is there is an international break following this game against Brighton. But I think Arsenal fans are concerned because given Gabriel Jesus' injury record in recent time, Kai Havertz is seemingly the only fit striker they have at this moment in time. I think Arsenal fans forget that Kai Havertz was signed as a left-side number 8. He's now excelling as a striker, so he's the first choice there. There are other options in the pitch. Leandro Trossard can play there as a false 9 as well. And we did report at the beginning of this transfer window that forward was an area that Arsenal looked to strengthen in. So if they are to get a forward in this window, they'll have got everything they wanted in this transfer window. Now, it does feel like with time ticking, it's unlikely they're going to get one done. There's not going to be any panic buys, that's for sure.
OK. All right.
So of Arsenal, Mikel Merino confirmed as the latest addition to Mikel Arteta's squad. For those who haven't seen him play that often for Real Sociedad, Luis, what sort of player are they getting?
They are getting a box-to-box player. He's a player who can hold the ball. He's got a physical presence into the middle. He's got battle. He's very, very good in the air. He understood the time and space when he's arriving to the last third.
But certainly Mikel Arteta has gone somewhere to secure this signing. Exactly where he fits in, I'm not 100% sure. I still feel Arsenal's greatest need is that out-and-out finisher. And it just seems a little bit kind of congested in that midfield area.
What do you think, Luis? Does he start, say, ahead of Partey?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's not going to be easy. You guys are mentioning that there are so many good players into the midfield, but is what if you're going to go to a top team, you're going to have a competitiveness in between the other ones, and if you want to improve yourself, you need that competition. In Real Sociedad, he was in the 11 starter. There is no doubt his position, and well, if you don't have even that much pressure. So this is a big step for him. Let's see if he can cope with the expectation, of course, of arriving to Arsenal. But I think he can fight to be. Let's not forget again, it's a long period. The last part of the season, Arsenal's always kind of goes down a little bit because of physical situations, or maybe because the players are used to too often. So he can be a very good ad in the long run.
Luis,
Arsenal. We mentioned Mikel Merino. Fabio Vieira has gone on loan to Porto. Just on the Fabio Vieira piece, I was never a huge fan. I think this is a good place for him to regain his mojo. You would get a concern if he can't get into the Porto side regularly, because then at that point, you're wondering what's the point of him being there. Would he have been better off going somewhere else where maybe, he can get more minutes? I think that's all TBD. You mentioned before that it could mean that, Declan Rice sits more and Merino is the one to go more forward. I'm not sure he sees it that way.
Okay.
I just think you would lose. I just think Declan Rice kind of.
So are you suggesting that Merino won't get in the team every week? Because if Declan Rice plays further forward and Partey plays as the holding midfielder, or Jorginho plays as the holding midfielder.
No, Merino does. I think Merino
plays as the holding midfield player.
Yeah.
Well, I never saw him play that role for Real Sociedad.
It's not a holding midfield player in the sense that I run around and win the ball. But against most teams, I think he's going to do what Jorginho was asked to do, which is pick your passes, unlock situations. I think he feels more comfortable with that.
But did you see him do that for Real Sociedad? Because they had Zubimendi who played that role.
But he had Zubimendi. But Declan Rice is not Zubimendi. So I don't want Declan Rice to pretend he's Zubimendi so that I can accommodate. I think he is committed to this 4-1-4.
But when he played for West Ham, Declan Rice, he was more of the holding midfield player who...
Right. It was on a counter-attacking team, though.
Yeah. I still think...
And I think you lost a lot of what makes Declan Rice very good. And I don't think Declan Rice has necessarily... He's got other skills, but I don't think he's got the playmaking, passing, and the ability to control possession for
one of the problems that England had at the European Championship.
Precisely. I mean, look, one of the reasons I admire Arteta is that he comes in with an idea and then it doesn't work and then he goes to something else, right? We saw that last year when he started with Havertz and Odegaard behind Gabriel Jesus, and he says, "Wait a minute, this isn't working the way I wanted to," right? But so
because when he did that, when he played Havertz as the left-sided midfielder, that's when he wanted Declan Rice as the holding player,
right? Because he just wanted Declan Rice in the team, and I think we saw that you lose a lot of Declan Rice. Yes, you can ask him to go and defend and basically be a third center back in front of the back four. But I don't think you're getting the full Declan Rice experience when you do that. And I also don't think that it helps you because when other teams go and park the bus, again, I'm not sure Declan Rice is the guy to unpick that. Neither of the center backs is necessarily going to do that.
But one of the things that Merino can do as that left-sided midfield player in a three, playing as the further forward, as he proved in the European Championship, and he has done for Real Sociedad, when balls go wide, which you have to do when you're playing against the packed defence and you get crosses into the box, he's a midfield player that can come and head the ball. So he would be a threat in those situations.
As with Declan Rice.
Yes.
I already say Merino's better in the air than Declan Rice.
I would say he is in terms of going and attacking the ball in the opposition's penalty box. Don't see Declan Rice do that too often.
I defer to you.
Yeah. No. It's
interesting.
I had something in my head that's how I thought he was going to do, but you've added something different.
Look, if it is sort of this 4-2-3-1 setup, it could also be that they take turns going forward, depending on the situation. I think what it also does, having that left footer in there, is I think Zinchenko coming into the middle. I mean, it looked like Zinchenko was totally out of his plans, but I wonder how that's going to mesh with Calafiori or Timber if he still wants that.
Well, Timber did it in the game against Aston Villa.
Exactly.
He came into that sort of semi-holding midfield position, and I think Calafiori would be the ideal player to do that.
If you've got Merino there, does that then become slightly redundant, or do you then use Merino differently?
I would say if the player coming in from the wide area, which seems to be the left back for Arsenal, it's the right back for Man City, but it's the left back for Arsenal, then it would suit if you had Declan Rice as the other player, because he would then move slightly to the right with his right foot, and the left back would move into a sort of left holding midfield position. That's got more balance. Mikel Merino is making left. Yeah, that's what I would say. That's in my head. That's the picture I've got of
this Arsenal. Is the value add we get with Stuart.
So that's the picture I have in my brain.
If we have to point to, you love pointing out flaws and weaknesses, right?
Yeah,
that's how one gets better. What are Arsenal missing right now? Like, if you wanted to make, like, all right, if you had to identify potential pain points, things that could go wrong, right? And I don't just mean Saka getting injured, but One thing that comes to me a little bit that I would wonder is I don't think Martinelli has been at the level he was at
No.
2 years ago.
No.
Obviously, there's Strasser, there's other players. I guess Gabriel Jesus could go and do a job for you there as well when he returns.
The trouble is, when you're looking to win the title, you don't want people just to do a job, do you? You want people to excel.
Gabriel Jesus is a very good player. Right?
Yeah, he's a good player.
So you want him in the side, and if Havertz is fit, Havertz is your center forward.
Yes.
Right? So I'm thinking about is that a potential?
That's a potential. Trossard has done a very good job. His goal record for Arsenal has been excellent, but he's a different sort of player to Martinelli. And if you are having your left fullback come in field, Trossard is the sort of player that when he's playing on the left hand side, he wants to come in field and join in with the centre forward. So that makes them slightly unbalanced, which is why you could go back to Jesus as playing as an out and out wide player and trying to go down the outside of people. So yeah, that could. He wants Martinelli to be at his best because if they've got pace down the left hand side and they've got the trickery of Saka down the right hand side, that's a good combination. But Martinelli hasn't been at his best always.
Merino bring to this Arsenal team?
Well, I think Mikel Merino is a classic Mikel Arteta signing personally. You know, Mikel Arteta loves duels. You know, in that documentary, he said, you know, when I lose a duel, I'm upset. Well, as you can see, Mikel Merino was one of the best last season at duels in Europe's top 5 leagues. 40 more than the next best. And interesting who the next best is. Bruno Guimaraes, obviously linked to Arsenal as well. So, yeah, obviously Arsenal like to bring in combative players, and, yeah, Mikel Merino looks like he's another one of those players.
Merino's possible incoming coincides with how Mikel Arteta has brought in taller players in recent years. This is an interesting one, isn't it?
This is interesting because, obviously, if you want to win duels, you need to bring in tall players. And interesting, in each of the last 2 seasons, Mikel Arteta has brought somebody in who's at least 6 foot. So, obviously, Mikel Merino joins Ricardo Calafiori this summer. Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, they both started in Arsenal's midfield at times last season. Jakub Kiwior, probably a little bit out of favour at the moment, but it doesn't look like he's moving anywhere this summer. Of course, William Saliba, yes, he was signed about 3 years earlier, but that year, 2022-23, was the year when he actually came in to the Arsenal team after loan. So when you think about Arsenal's famous title-winning teams, you've got the likes of Vieira, Gilberto, Kolo Touré, Sol Campbell, big physical players. I think Mikel Merino is joining a long list of physical players that Mikel Arteta has brought in to this Arsenal team.
It was interesting the way he was brought up playing football. It wasn't about height, it was about skill, and also interesting, that's most probably the reason that you and me haven't signed for Arsenal this time. I think that's the only reason.
While Arsenal enjoyed a brilliant summer on the pitch and have kick-started their Premier League campaign with back-to-back wins this season, there remains some discontent among portions of the fan base due to a lack of activity in the transfer market. So far, the only new faces added to Mikel Arteta's first team have been Italian defender Ricardo Calafiori and Spanish midfielder Mikel Merino, which doesn't feel like enough in the face of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City juggernaut. If you ask fans at the start of the summer about the one area they thought the team needed to strengthen, most would have answered striker. While the likes of Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, and Leandro Trossard have started the season in good form, the need for an out-and-out goal-scoring 9 still feels acute. Fortunately, recent reports have touted one of the best poachers around for a move to the Emirates before the window closes, and had surely supercharged Trossard. According to a recent report from Team Talk, Arsenal have once again entered the race for $110 million Napoli star Viktor Osimhen. The report claims that following perceived disrespect during negotiations, the Saudi Pro League sides interested in signing the Nigerian international this summer have now walked away from any potential deal. And while Chelsea are still a possible destination, so are the Gunners. Interestingly, the report has revealed that in the last few days, the North Londoners have once again asked for information on the striker, suggesting that there is a chance Edu Gasper could come in with a late bid to try and secure the player's services for a cut price fee. Whatever that final price ends up being, Osimhen would almost certainly be worth it, as he'd bring a mountain of goals with him. Arsenal eyeing potential move for Simon Adingra of Brighton. Football London has reported today that Arsenal have had a look at a move for Brighton's Simon Adingra. However, there is a caveat as it goes on to state that he could cost up to $50 million. This interest isn't something new, as the Gunners have been eyeing Adingra since the January transfer window. Despite limited chances so far this season at the Seagulls, former Arsenal star Danny Welbeck is a big fan of Adingra, as he described him and Kair Mitoma as very dangerous last season. There's no doubting Adingra's qualities, but for someone who only managed 7 goals and 3 assists last season, $50 million seems like a bit of a gamble. Arsenal have privately spoken about signing Kingsley Coman, but they face competition from Tottenham, and the Bayern Munich star has a huge Saudi offer on the table. Nico Williams is another who could join Arsenal before the deadline, with Charles Wood's refusing to rule out a late move for the Spaniard. When you look at the impact Williams made at the Euros and last season at Athletic Bilbao with 19 assists and 8 goals, it's hard to justify a big-money move for Adingra. Ahead of him, Arsenal have just signed Real Sociedad midfielder Mikel Merino and may yet get another through the door before transfer deadline day on Friday. Mikel Arteta remains keen on signing an attacker and has been eyeing Sporting's Viktor Gyokeres throughout the window. Arsenal midfielder Fabio Vieira has completed a season-long loan move to Porto. The 24-year-old left the Portuguese Giants for the Gunners 2 years ago for around $34.3 million, but has since struggled for consistent game time under Mikel Arteta. Vieira made 22 appearances in his debut season in North London, but struggled with injuries last term and subsequently fell down the midfield pecking order. He will now act as Francisco Conceição's replacement at Porto, with the Portugal international having been allowed to join Juventus on loan. Arrival of Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad has increased competition for places in Arsenal's midfield even further, as well as the emergence of academy graduate Ethan Nwaneri. In total, Vieira has made 49 appearances for Arsenal to date, scoring 3 goals and registering 9 assists in the process. There will be no option or obligation for Porto to make the deal a permanent arrangement next summer, with Vieira, who has taken the number 10 shirt at the Estadio do Dragão, recently vacated by Conceição, still under contract at Arsenal until the summer of 2027. Vieira is the second player to leave Arsenal in the last 24 hours, with academy graduate Charlie Patino having joined Spanish club Deportivo La Coruña on Monday. Eddie Nketiah has been given permission to undergo a medical at Crystal Palace. The South London club are working to finalize agreements with Arsenal and the 25-year-old striker, having tabled a bid worth $25 million plus $5 million in potential add-ons. If all goes to plan, he will become Palace's 4th summer signing after Chadi Riyad, Ismail Assar, and Daichi Kamada. Nketiah has spent his entire career at Arsenal apart from a half-season on loan at Leeds United during 2019-20. He has scored 38 goals in 168 appearances for the club, having made his debut in 2018. The attacker is set to become the latest Hale End graduate to leave Arsenal this summer, following the departure of Emile Smith-Rowe, who signed for Fulham earlier this month. Nketiah holds the record for the most goals for England 12-1, having surpassed Alan Shearer's tally, but has won only 1 cap at senior level. Mikel Arteta explains 4 strengths that new signing Mikel Merino will bring to Arsenal. Mikel Merino has been announced as Arsenal's 3rd summer signing after the Gunners paid $27 million to recruit the Spanish midfielder from La Liga outfit Real Sociedad. Mikel Arteta has outlined 4 strengths, which new $27 million signing Mikel Merino will bring to Arsenal. Merino has joined the Gunners from Spanish side Real Sociedad, putting pen to paper on a 4-year contract, with the option of a further 12 months. The fee could rise to around $32 million with add-ons. A European Championship winner who boasts Champions League experience, Merino will bolster Arsenal's midfield during their bid to finally win the Premier League title for the first time since 2004. Club sources believe that the Gunners are getting one of Europe's best midfielders for a cut-price fee, with the Spain international having entered the final year of his contract with Real Sociedad. Arteta, meanwhile, has picked out 4 elements of Merino's game which will improve his Arsenal side. Mikel is a player who will bring us huge quality with his experience and versatility, the Gunners' boss began. He has played at the top of the game at both club and international level for a number of seasons now. Mikel will make our squad significantly stronger, with his technical ability, together with his strong and positive character and personality. As we all saw in the summer, Mikel is also a winner, with his strong performances throughout the Euros helping Spain win the tournament. We are delighted to welcome Mikel and his family to the club and can't wait to start working with him. Merino's experience combined with his technical ability, strong character, and winning mentality are all strengths which